Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Watch Review with Maxine. I am your host, Maxine, and we're going to get into episode 2 of Married at First Sight. This episode is titled, Where is My Groom? Where is my groom? Now, we kick off from where we left off, Marissa and Adam. Okay, so Marissa's walking down the aisle. She says, oh my gosh, I know him. And Adam says he remembers her too. So that's pretty nice. At first I was nervous, like, oh my gosh, is this just her who remembers the other person? But no, they both remember each other. Apparently, just 2 years ago, they met at a bar. Now, Adam said something very interesting because he said he doesn't usually approach women unless they're really attractive. Now, oh my gosh. What the hell is that, right? Like, what is really attractive, right? Like, what she has to knock you off your feet from a distance, so much so for her to be worthy enough to get your attention. It's just so silly to me. I feel like he's coming off a bit pompous, and I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna work. I hope he's open to feedback and wanting to grow, but just that statement alone just makes me uneasy. Okay, and they met at a bar. Now, granted, not everyone who goes to a bar is a drinker, right? So maybe he wasn't drinking at the bar, but I wonder at that time, was he drinking? Is this whole I'm not drinking alcohol thing, is that new? He actually said to her, so after they exchange vows and yada, 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 they sit down like they do. And he said how he was worried that she's a type of person who reads for an entire weekend. And I'm like, I'm offended because I'm a reader and I love a good book. And I feel like, what is that to you, right? I feel like some people who don't typically read, they get offended if you're such a reader, right? Or I feel like even when he was reading, not was reading, but remember when he said how, yeah, I read, and he like named a book. And I guess this book is like this very mature philosophical type of book. I think he was trying to give the impression that he's so smart that he read this type of book. And I'm worried that if Marissa is not the type to read this like really philosophical type of book, he's gonna look down on her, right? Like if she just read like a Frida McFadden type of book, right? Shout out to Frida McFadden. I have read many of her books. I watched the movie The Housemaid, which I enjoyed, and I have another book of hers that's on my wish list that I will get shortly once I finish my current read. I'm currently reading, so get a little tangent. I'm currently reading Sweet Heat by this African author, and I'm gonna butcher her name, but it's Bolu something something, right? Just look it up, Sweet Heat. It's a pretty good read. I like the writing style. Interesting. But anyway, I have a thing where I don't buy a new book until I finish my current read. So I just gotta hurry up and finish the book. Anyway, and I take my time when I read. I do. This is not about reading. Okay. Anyway, the point is, Adam wouldn't like a girl like me. If I'm over here talking about reading so much, he'll be so annoyed if he's talking about, oh, he doesn't want a woman who reads for an entire weekend. He probably wouldn't want a woman who talks about the books that she reads. Like, what's wrong with you? Anyway, we move on to Felipe and Tori. What I like about this moment with them is the people around them. They are loved. And not only are they loved, but they are loving people. You could see it and feel it in the room that people love them. Their family love them. Their friends love them. Tori comes from a loving family. Tori's sister is delivering her speech, and she's saying how much her sister means to her and how just much of a good person she is, how she's taking care of her, and how she deserves a good person. And It's just very telling. Like, if a lot of people could say such touching things about you, that tells me a lot, right? And then same goes for Felipe. Felipe's friend and his sister said loving things about him. So it really speaks to their good character. And I think despite the appearance that Tori has, because like I said before, she looks nothing like her family. I don't know. There's a backstory that we're gonna get into. I know we saw some little picture, like some younger pictures of her. And maybe she always had dark hair, but she totally does not look like she's related to her family. Like, she looks more Hispanic, Latin mix, and her mom looks not, okay? Looks not. Just like that. She does not look anything like her. It's very interesting. So we get to Belle and Mecca. Now, Logic, who is Mecca's dad, I have a feeling that he's gonna be a frequent appearance. He's gonna have a frequent appearance in this season, and maybe he may have an appearance in the reunion episode. I feel like, because he has such a personality that I think he can make good TV, and the producers may see him as useful for that. So Logic, he questions Belle about why she gestured to his son to kiss her on the cheek and not on the lips. Because remember, in the first episode, Logic's talking about cheek is for the weak, tongue is if you're sprung. And for Belle to point at her cheek when it was time to kiss the bride, it did give Mecca concern. It did give Logic concern, just a little bit, kind of like, I feel like Mecca is someone who, because he alluded to this and actually said it outright, that he gets the impression that he's a playboy. And I think he gets that impression because he probably is. Can we stop there? He probably is a playboy. He probably does like to have a lot of women around him, or he's just easily loved by women and could easily get a girl. I think he is, and I think he gets that from his dad. I think his dad has that impression too. So when you have a generational thing like that, it's off-putting, and it's strange that how dare a woman reject a full-on kiss from me. I think that's what it is. So I think Logic, as Mecca's father, right, was offended, and so was Mecca. So Mecca, actually, we see a scene of him talking to his friends about what they think about it. Like, what do you think about her not letting me kiss her on the lips? I think his friends said a good response. Like, I think it made sense. It was an appropriate thing to do. I don't see an issue with it. But Mecca's face was, are you sure? Really? Like, it felt like he wasn't trying to take heed to what they were saying. And even one of his groomsmen said, today's a great day. Like, today's a beautiful day. I think this is heaven sent. Like, he's speaking life over this day, over this marriage, over your bride. And Mecca's talking about, really? All right, come on. You dragging it. Like, you make it. It felt like Mecca. I think with Mecca, I don't know if he can be vulnerable yet. I don't know if he's at that stage in his life yet. And it seems like he quickly leans into the jokes, the humor, the goofball of it all, which was mentioned later on by Belle's mom. I think that's his default, and I'm wondering if that will tire Belle out a bit. Like, it might be a little annoying. I don't know. And even with Logic, like, so we get to a part, and I'm kind of jumping a bit, but we get to a part later on of Logic delivering a speech for during their reception, and again, he's taking the show. He's kind of cracking on his son, and maybe that's their dynamic, and I guess that's just what it is. But it got to a point where, damn, Dad, can you just give me my props? Can you highlight what's good about me instead of putting so much emphasis on what I failed in. Like, I think that was a bit concerning. And even in that moment, you see Belle saying, okay, not too much of my husband. She's trying to keep it light too. And she's, light, laughing along with everyone in the moment. But even in that moment, she's saying, okay, not too much on my man. Okay. So we meet Nick and Courtney. Nick, so Nick is a celebrity apparently. He's a reality star celebrity. I have not seen the shows that he starred in, but he's been in 5 reality shows. That's a big red flag. That's a big red flag to me. Now, initially I was like, you know what? Let me give this a shot as far as like not immediately look at it as a red flag, because we are in this day and age in which a lot of people are just going on reality shows. Like, reality TV is a part of our TV experience, and that just is what it is. So whether you're on Love Island, whether you're on Married at First Sight, whether you're like Temptation Island, there's so many reality shows to choose from that you may come across more people than you realize who have been on a reality show. So it's just a show. It's a tell of the times, right? So I was looking at it from that perspective, but there's a comment that his twin brother says, who I feel like looks nothing like him. I don't know if it's the facial hair or the lack of hair that he had on his head, but his twin brother looks nothing like him. He said that Nick loves the spotlight. That right there made me realize, oh, okay, this is a red flag. This is a red flag. But anyway, let's get into Nick's background. Aside from him being on reality show after reality show, Nick plays lacrosse, so he has an athletic build, which is what Courtney is attracted to, and she mentioned that during her session with the therapist. And Nick is an MIT alum, which is impressive. Okay. Norky, what? Courtney has, so Courtney's a bodybuilder. Her parents are bodybuilders, and so is she. Now, here's the thing with that. Courtney said a comment. She said how she doesn't want her man to be fit and all of that, but she does not want him to be a bodybuilder because bodybuilders are so hyper fixated on their looks and their appearance and all these things. Now, all of that is true, but that is giving me a window into how you are, right? Because you're a bodybuilder. Are you that way? Are you hyperfixated on your looks? Which I would assume you are. You wouldn't have this built the way that you do if you weren't. And it does bring me some concern because, dang, your parents were and still are clearly like this. That probably means you grew up in this almond mom lifestyle, right? You probably didn't eat much. You may have had an eating disorder. Like, it could have gone dark. And I'm not saying that it's not good to be healthy. Like, you should be healthy, sure. You should be mindful of what you eat. All of that is true, and you should move your body frequently. All of that is necessary. But when you do it to an extreme in which you are ridiculing your own identity if you don't look a certain way, that is when it comes concerning. That's when it becomes concerning. So Courtney says how she wants a conservative man. And I feel like that's great, right? I want us to get to a place in our society in which when we hear these buzzwords, conservative, right? Right wing. I know right wing is more dramatic, but conservative, I feel like at the very least, that should not be seen as, oh, you're MAGA or you're racist or, oh, you're like, I don't want us to side eye anyone who says that. I think it's fair to want your partner or prefer for your partner to be conservative if that's what you desire. And, we don't look at you as this MAGA, KKK type of person. They do a little jokey joke. Well, I don't know if she was joking. Was she joking? Because what's his name? The therapist, doctor, I don't know if he's a doctor, I can't remember, but the male therapist, he said how Well, let's talk about the conservative spectrum, which I felt like that was a weird question or weird thing to say. Because what do you mean a conservative? Like, would you want her response to have been, okay, I really want a KKK type of guy? Like, no. What is a conservative spectrum? I want someone who's conservative. I want someone who believes in a nuclear family. Uh-oh, can't say those buzzwords, right? I want someone who, like, what do you mean a conservative spectrum? Right? Like, that's just, I feel like he was kind of baiting her. And then he mentioned, oh, how do you feel about January 6th? And then she says, well, what happened in January 6th? I'm like, oh, Lord, I guess she's that type of conservative. So I'm trying to shoot her bail and she's killing me. Anyway, Courtney shares a vulnerable thing here. She says how she fears being left, and she keeps repeating that. And what I think she says she's been cheated on. We learned from Nick that he's never cheated on anyone, which I don't know if I even believe. I don't think Nick is really gonna be. I think Nick may have a representative. That's the impression I'm getting. I think Nick may have a representative, and I don't know. We'll see. But mark my words, I feel like he looks one way, but he'll come off a different way, and a negative way at that. But Courtney keeps repeating how she fears being left. She does not want to be left. She doesn't want her partner to leave her. And I thought that was real, and I thought that was genuine. So they meet at the altar. She says, "You look great." He does not say the same in return. Mind you, he's smiling, and it's an exciting, the adrenaline is rushing in this moment, but he doesn't say anything in return. He doesn't say, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I'm just so stunned. You look so beautiful too. Or he doesn't say anything in that moment. And she clearly said, like, it wasn't like she whispered it or no, she said it clearly. You look great. He does not say it in return. I thought that was interesting. And it kind of speaks to what is said later on in this episode by his twin brother, that Nick loves a spotlight. So for him to kind of not give her a moment to shine or give her praise in this moment, like, you look great too, it seems like, yeah, he does like the spotlight and he doesn't want to share the spotlight. We learned that Nick was one of the previous reality shows he was on. The show was about him being catfished, and he was actually catfished by his gay friend who gave he catfished himself being a girl, and he called him Daddy Nick. And I guess on the show they figured out what was going on, but he and this best friend, his gay best friend, are still friends, like are still best friends. I would feel like, what the hell? I don't know if a friend, not even, I don't know. No, absolutely not. You're a weirdo ass person. What do you mean you catfish me for, I don't know how long it was. I want to do some digging and see what show this was and see the details behind it. But what do you mean? What do you mean you're my friend? And then when I noticed he said, because when he was explaining this, he first started off by saying, yeah, my gay friend. And I felt like that was kind of weird to say. Like, why are you saying your gay friend? Like, why do you need to announce that he's gay? Right? But then he was leading into something, which is the story of his gay friend catfishing himself as a girl. So that's why he said that. So we jump into Michelle and Cameron. Michelle is an Asian woman, which you immediately see this, right? You immediately see, Asian, right? Why'd I do that? I'm just saying. But, and we learned, I would like to know, like, what type of Asian? I love figuring that out. But yeah, she's Vietnamese. Cameron's a white man. He's super tall. We actually learned that Michelle and her family, the women in her family at least, they love tall men. Michelle's mom is married to Michelle's dad, and they were matched, and she really loved her dad primarily because he's a tall man. Michelle's a program manager. Cameron is a basketball coach at a community college. Previous to that, he played abroad as a professional basketball player and was very successful at that and is successful as a basketball coach. So he's pretty revered. We actually learn, yeah, he's pretty revered. They seem to both really want commitment. They seem genuine about it. We'll see how this goes. We see a scene between Cameron, his mom, his dad, and his sister. His sister is actually Asian, which, look, I get it. It's like normal for them, but I need to understand more, right? You have an Asian sister, you're in a white family. I just want to, I would have loved if he, like let's talk about the elephant in the room. Like, wait, what? And it just, like, obviously she's adopted, but I wanted to hear that from Adam. I mean, what's his name? From Cameron, right? I wanted Cameron to say, yeah, my sister got adopted at birth, or my sister got adopted when she was 9 and I was 13. Like, what is the age difference? What? And the sister's just like talking like she's a part of this family. Why did I just say that? I'm so horrible. Not like she's not a part of the family, but you know what I mean. Like, she's clearly Asian. Am I racist? Let me stop. I'm just saying, I wanted to know more about that. I like to learn more about your family background. But look, she seems to but I didn't know, maybe I'm just sensitive, but I noticed one thing. The sister, this Asian sister of his, she kept cutting off the mom or talking before the mom was about to speak. And it felt like a moment where, like, okay, sister, know your place. Did y'all peep that? It felt like a moment in which the sister did not know when to shut up. Is it just me? But another thing I wondered too, did Cameron say, I'm open, like, I want to date an Asian woman, right? Match me with the Asian wife. Like, was that something that was shared? And how is he? Maybe we'll learn in the next episode about, oh yeah, you're Asian, right? Yeah, I have an Asian sister. She actually is from, Cambodia, wherever, right? But anyway, I noticed Michelle cries a lot. She does cry a lot, which is fine, right? Which is fine, don't get me wrong. But I do worry, is this a sign of emotional dysregulation? They both compliment each other at the altar, so that's nice. That's a good sign. We get to Marissa and Adam. They're at the reception, okay? Remember, Adam is a piano player. He's a pianist. That's the formal way to say it. Prior to a moment that I'm going to talk about, Marissa says a comment about, so his entire family didn't show up for him. His entire family did not show up for him. Like, golly. It's either he's not close with them or they staunchly do not approve of this. Or it's a mixture of both. We also learn that Marissa's dad, she's not close with him. So that's very unfortunate. So they said a little joke about how we're not going to have a father-daughter dance or a mother-son dance. So yeah, that's pretty unfortunate. We get to a point in which Adam plays the piano. And remember, just the first episode, he played the piano when he was with the guys at their bachelor party. So he plays the piano and he plays the Tickle the Ivories tune. And y'all peep when right before he started playing, he says this this is for Marissa. Huh? It felt so cold. Did y'all peep that? It felt so cold. It felt so distant. This is for Marissa. Like, you're saying this is for some stranger I met at the bar. No, he should have said this is for my wife, or this is for my wife Marissa. But you saying this is Marissa as if this Marissa you didn't just marry today is a wild thing to say. So everyone's impressed, of course. He has great skills on the piano. That's obvious. But again, he does the most, like he did in the first episode, and he plays another. Now, Marissa's bridesmaids, they're They're totally not serious. They're not serious at all. They're probably a little drunk too. But one of them, actually, the Asian is the theme this episode, huh? But her Asian bridesmaid, she starts laughing and she can't stop laughing and she's trying to cover her face. One of the other bridesmaid next to her says, "Stop laughing." But she's laughing because Adam says, Adam plays another tune. Like, he plays another tune. And the Asian bridesmaid, she's like, "Oh, he's gonna go another." Like, he's gonna play another one, right? And here's the thing with Adam: it's either he's not aware, like maybe he's autistic, maybe something's up, because either you just want attention so much, maybe he's a little bit of a Nick, right? But it's either you are so desperate to have people compliment you, or you're totally unaware of your surroundings. Either way, that's such a turn off. Like, dude. And mind you, the tunes that he's playing, they're classical tunes. Like, they're not necessarily romantic wedding type music. He's just playing these these Beethoven ass songs. ain't no feeling it. It'll be one thing if, you know what would have been nice? It would have been nice if he said, "Here is a number that I created, that I put together for this very moment for my wife, Marissa, who I now know is Marissa." That would have been nice if he did that. If he played an original song, and maybe he doesn't know how to sing, but you played the original song that you created for this moment for your wife, who you know is now Marissa. But no, he plays these Beethoven ass songs. Like, okay, anybody want to hear classical music right now? What? So we meet Nikki and Shawn. Dr. Best. His name is Dr. Shawn Best. Yes, his last name is Best, Best. We learned that his last name actually, it kind of dictated the course of his life. He wanted to be the best at everything. He actually is 5'6", so he wasn't the best at his height, huh? I mean, he can't control that, obviously. But aside from his height, he did the best that he could in every sport he played. He said despite him being 5'6", he was a good quarterback. And he actually shared that he was sexually deprived when he was young. And that's because he came up from a religious background. His parents, or I think his father, I think both, nonetheless, were preachers. And he was basically discouraged to have sex. So he didn't have sex until he had sex one time when he was 21, and then didn't have sex again until he was like 29. Which, okay, that's interesting. So mind you, Nikki and Shawn, they're in their 40s. They're in their late 40s. So I'm thinking about, just based off of this sexually deprived thing. Now, I don't know how much he's, maybe he's made up for lost time. But, I'm not judging him for having sex late. I think that's totally fine. But I do wonder how open he is, right? Because what if Nikki is someone who likes to get it on, right? What if she likes to, okay, let's have sex again and again and again, and it's only 24 hours, right? How open is he? Like, does he have the stamina? Does he have the open-mindedness for that? I don't know. I just think about that. That's where my mind goes. He said he actually always dated women who made more than him. Now, he's successful in his own right. He actually, hold on. He works out of college, and he's very close to becoming a college president, or campus president, whatever the title is. And I think it's very commendable. And you do get, I would assume, as the campus president, you're making good enough money. But we learned Nikki, she makes 250 to 300K annually. Now, I don't know why she just changed the number. Like, what is it flat? Like, so maybe she's in sales. So that's what I'm wondering. So she's very financially successful. She was born to teenage parents. I noticed her mother was the only one in attendance. So I wonder where her dad is or what's going on there. Same with Dr. Shawn, her husband. So anyway, she says she wants her husband to make the same amount as her. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired of this conversation. I want him to make a say, okay, but you haven't been successful, right? Obviously, I would assume you have not been. And I love that the therapist said, the average salary is $64,000 a year. So you finding someone who makes the same amount as you is, girl. I mean, come on. I know a lot. There's a YouTube, and I'm not gonna say her name, but there's a YouTube content creator who I watch her video frequently. I like the things that she says. I think she's entertaining. But she staunchly says you need to date, like, you can make $30,000 a year. Your man needs to make $31,000. Like, your man needs to make more than you. However much more is whatever, but he needs to make more. Now, I feel like in the ideal world, that makes sense, right? But in the way that things are made up, y'all, there's not a lot of men out here who's making the same amount as you, and the amount that you're coming in with is $250,000. Okay, and then those men who are making that amount, they're not looking to be monogamous. Can we stop? Hello? Can we stop there? I know we don't want to hear that. I know, and shit, men who make less than that don't want to get married or be like. So the point is, we get so staunch on these things, and it's like we have to live in this reality. We have to, like, he could still be a man in so many other ways. Granted, yes, but. Or maybe y'all don't need to share all the details of how much you make. If that could make things better, right? We just keep things clear on what our contributions are in this relationship. I think that could be the best way to go about it. Not to say we have to lie. It's just, okay, I'm responsible for this, you're responsible for that. And it is our expectation to meet these responsibilities every time. But I don't know. This like, Nikki, girl, what black man you looking for that has 200? Where is he? I don't know. Is it me? Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know your thoughts down below. But girl, talking about she wants her man to make the same amount. How come you haven't found him yet? Because they don't exist in the way that you want them to exist. Let's state that. In the way that you want them to exist, they don't. They don't. And it's not about having a scarcity mind. Just, oh my gosh, I can't stand this whole thing. Oh, you got to have an abundant mindset versus a scarcity mindset. It's not. I have a realistic mindset. The man that you want, right? This, because people be like, oh, I want to. And look at her. Look at her. Okay, let's talk about this real quick. She walks down the aisle. She sees him. Clearly, he's short, right? We know that he's short. He has a big personality because that's what a lot of short niggas have. Let's stop there. That's what a lot of short niggas, they have to have a big personality to compensate for their weight. I mean, for their height or lack thereof. They have to have a big personality. So she's disappointed, but she's trying to hold face. She's walking down and she's making eye contact with everybody else but this motherfucker. Yo, she doesn't even see her husband because he's too damn short. He's too damn short. She doesn't see him. Now, mind you, she's not towering over him. She's just maybe a foot taller, but he's short. Okay. She's trying to keep it cute. She finally gets to him. They're standing in front of each other. She's still not making eye contact. She barely is looking at him. He has to say, no, the officiant says, Nikki meet so-and-so, Nikki meet Shawn, Shawn meet Nikki. Shawn finally says, hi, Nikki. He finally greets her, but she doesn't even greet him back. I think he actually compliments her. She doesn't compliment him back. So the point is, she is unimpressed physically. Although during her therapy session, she said, yes, she prefers a tall, dark, and handsome man, but she's definitely open to dating, and she has dated a shorter man. And she also said how she's a sapiosexual. For those who doesn't know, for those who may not know what that means, is someone who is attracted to the mental of someone, right? The mental conversation, the mental chemistry. But sometimes you gotta just be very clear on what you want, what you don't want, right? You could be a sapiosexual and still want a tall ass man. Okay, you could be yes, I love a conversation. I want you to stimulate me mentally, but I still want you to be 6'2". I still want to break my neck looking up at you. I still want that. And I think because Nikki did not stand on business in her therapy session, this is what she got. This is what she got. Now, we see this picture that I have of them, right? They finish saying their vows, they're sequestered, and they're talking. And they're getting along pretty well. They're finding connections with each other. They're both nerds on some neuroscience tip. She actually was a neuroscience major before she transferred or changed her major to clinical science, something like that. And yeah, he says how he's so into that dopamine and all these things, and it was heartwarming, I would say, to see them connect on that level. I'm like, okay, maybe this would kind of break her into it. And she was actually nice about it, right? So not only are they connecting, she's not being like standoffish. She's saying how she really loved, and she bawled her eyes out when she read the gift that he gave her, and he's like, oh really? Like, so it seemed like he liked that she said that. He actually was and this goes back to what he said earlier about being sexually deprived. He probably doesn't have a lot of skills when it comes to charisma, like sexual, that swagger type of charisma that men should have, right? But because he was sexually deprived, he doesn't have that. So anyway, as they were walking off into their own area, initially they were holding hands, and then he said, well, I know we just met. We don't have to hold hands right now. I could give you your space. It felt like he was trying to let her know, it's okay. It's okay if you don't want to touch me. I'm this troll. It's okay. It's okay if you don't find me attractive. Let me just help you out first in case you want to do it to me. Like, it felt like he was bracing himself for rejection. Anyway, look, we'll see how this goes. We'll see how this goes, child. We get to the reception of Belle and Mecca, and I basically talked about this earlier anyway. Logic, Mecca's dad, gives this speech. He is just clowning his son. Does he like his son? Like, hello, this is your son. And then Mecca is trying to play it off. That's my dad. Ha ha ha. That's my dad. Like, your dad hates you. Hello? Are you aware? Your dad hates you. He's talking about how Mecca didn't make it in the basketball team. He actually made the WNBA. He made the women's basketball team, and obviously joking about the WNBA. But what else? He said he's a professional practice basketball player. Just straight clowning this dude. Like, god damn. I feel like that was a bit harsh, but disguised as this comedic flair. Even Belle had to say, okay, not too much of my hubby, not too much. So I think this may be a conversation that they could have later on. Mecca may be the type who who doesn't know how to be serious because he's always clowned on by his dad, right? And the best way to combat it in his mind is to act like it doesn't faze him, to laugh it off. But it probably breeds some type of insecurity. I would figure. He finally does say that Mecca is a good person, and that's all that matters. Like, despite all of his failures in life, despite not making this basketball team, despite not making the football team, despite being just a sucker ass nigga, he's a good person, and that's all that matters. Like, golly, you could have just said that. Belle's mom, she delivers a heartfelt speech, but here's the thing I don't like about her speech, though. She's talking about how you weathered so many storms and you saw through it. And she kind of emphasized too much on the negatives. Now, we don't have any, I mean, the only negative we learn about her background is her father wanting a DNA test, and even though the DNA test proves that she is his daughter, he still didn't want anything to do with her. That's sure, that's a big storm. But regardless, why are you bringing up storms and trials and just downtroddenness during this moment? Like, in this moment, why are you mentioning this in this speech? I think sometimes people have a hard time of just saying good things and sticking to those good things in the moment. Instead, you have to say, you know, I've been with you through breakup after breakup, girl. You was down and out. You were ugly. You had no job. Your teeth was messed up. Your breath stank. But look at you now. Like, okay. I don't need you to remind me of the storms I weathered. I don't. Why mention that? We get to Nick and, I said Nick and Cam. Hold on. Oh, that's why I wrote that. But yeah, Nick and Courtney. And like I said earlier, Nick's twin said how, yeah, Cam, he likes to, Nick's twin, whatever his name is, likes a spot. I don't know why I wrote Cameron. Why did I wrote Cameron here? But yeah, Nick's twin said his brother likes a spotlight. So that right there gave me pause. I think Shawn and Nikki, they seem to have great energy with each other. We'll see how it goes. I hope that she can be open to him. Now, I don't know how much he's making in his job, but he seems to be successful in his own right. He did say he has dated women, so multiple women in his life, in his dating history, he's dated who's made more than him. So I'm like, damn, how many women are you coming across who's making so much more money than you? And my second question is, how much money are you making? Like, what? So that kind of made me wonder, okay, is there going to be some type of discrepancy here? Her saying she makes $250,000 a year at minimum. I don't know, because it seems like he doesn't make that much just off of that comment of what he said. So we'll see. I did wonder, though, when Nikki was walking down the aisle with that white man who said Nikki's friend as his like title, who is he? I know it's her friend. Who is he? Where is your? Let me stop saying that. Has someone whose dad is no longer here. Me saying where's your dad? But who is this white man though? It just felt so random. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm racist, but why do you have this white man walking you down the aisle? Is she only child? She doesn't have an uncle, right? She has someone who is her same age, seemingly, who's walking her down the aisle. I know her mom was there, so we saw that. She didn't mention anything else about her dad aside from him and her mom being teenage parents when they had her. So I don't know if the dad is still in her life or not. Is he distant? Is he still with us? So, like, where was a dad? Where was an uncle? Where was an elder? This random white guy who's labeled as your friend walking you down the aisle. Okay. Yeah, there we have it. That's the end of this episode, y'all. This episode review. I'm just looking at my notes. But yeah, let me know what y'all think about these couples. How do you think Nikki and Shawn will fare with each other? What are your thoughts of Adam playing tune after tune when he's on the piano? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.